Hi, my name is 𝗙𝗿𝗲𝗲. I'm an associate with the Dallas County Promise, and I'm here to support Carrollton-Farmers branch ISD in helping more students enroll in a college education. Today I'll be talking about the Dallas County Promise, what it is, what it isn't, and how students can take advantage of this opportunity. We all know that a college education is critical to the success of a student. And when we ask students why they are interested in pursuing a college education, it ultimately comes down to three things: a better life, a better future, and a better community. The Dallas County Promise came about as an opportunity for every single student, and we are very thankful that there are 3 high schools in Carrollton-Farmers branch ISD that are participating in the Promise program. Those are Early College High School at 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏, R.L. Turner High School, and Newman Smith High School in Carrollton-Farmers branch ISD. So the Dallas County Promise, in a nutshell, is a last dollar scholarship that covers tuition, the cost of classes at partner colleges, and offers a success coach for high school graduates from CFBISD and participating campuses with options for all Texas residents. And I'll break that down a little more into what that means. So the Dallas County Promise addresses only one thing in the cost of attendance for a student when they go on to college, and that is tuition. Tuition tends to be the most expensive item when a student persists to a college education. And tuition, when a student applies for financial aid, whether that's FAFSA or TASFA, and I'll explain the difference a little later on, the money that they receive in need-based aid and scholarships that a student may have earned, if there is any gap left over between that need, that aid, and the cost of tuition, the Dallas County Promise Last Dollar Scholarship kicks in to cover that gap. So essentially, a student is guaranteed to not have to pay a single cent of tuition to persist in their college education through the Dallas County Promise program. When a student goes on to college, there are multiple items in the cost of attendance. That includes tuition, fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, miscellaneous, personal, and other. Those costs vary whether a student lives at home, whether they live on campus, whether they're off campus, but the cost of tuition, again, is the most expensive and is the one guaranteed to be covered by the Promise. There are other financial aid opportunities and scholarship opportunities that can help a student cover those costs after the Promise kicks in. So what does last dollar mean specifically? When a student applies for financial aid, state and federal grants are applied first to that cost of tuition, then additional scholarships that the student may have earned. Think, for example, a church scholarship, a community scholarship. And then third is when the Dallas County Promise Scholarship kicks in to cover that gap if it's not enough already to cover the cost of tuition. A student doesn't have to accept loans under the Dallas County Promise if they don't want to for their tuition, but they can for other costs after their tuition, like books and supplies, housing, and other things. It's very important to understand how last dollar works because the Promise isn't applied first. Their financial aid is applied first, then any scholarships that they may have received, and then the Promise kicks in as that last dollar resort in the cost of tuition. There are 3, how is a student eligible for the Promise program? There are 3 main steps for every single high school senior. So number 1 is that they pledge and apply. So students will go to our website, dallascountypromise.org, and they will complete what's known as the Promise Pledge. The Promise Pledge is really a contact information that they provide for us about the student and the parents so that we can keep in touch with them throughout the school year to send reminders and other information. And it's their initial show of interest to participate in the program. So very important that students get this done their senior year. In the school year 2019-2020, it is due by February 7th of 2020 for students to complete the Promise Pledge. Along with the pledge, students must complete a financial aid application to one of the partner colleges in the Promise program. That is either done through Apply Texas or the college through the college's website. So again, first deadline is pledge and apply. That is due by February 7th for the class of 2020. The second step, also due their senior year, is for students to submit the financial aid application. This school year, it is due by March 6th, and the financial aid application is either FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, or a TASFA, the Texas application for state financial aid. Depending on the student's status and other information, will they fill out one or the other, but not both. Students will complete the financial aid application and make sure to list one of the Promise partner colleges that participates in the program, and that takes care of that second deadline. So by March 6th, students submit a financial aid application. And the third step is to enroll for classes, to register for classes at the Promise partner, the college that they want to attend for the fall semester. That is usually due by July 31st of their senior year. So 3 steps. Number 1, pledge and apply. Number 2, submit your financial aid application. And number 3, to enroll in that college or university. So the Promise partners, colleges and universities under the Promise program, currently defer by whether a student will be graduating with a high school diploma or will be graduating with a complete associate's degree. All 7 of the Dallas County community colleges are part of the Promise program: Midwestern State University, SMU, Southern Methodist University, MSU, Midwestern State University, and Texas A&M Commerce, Texas A&M Texarkana are currently participating in the program. Every single one of these partners guarantees to cover tuition for the student, so they will never have to pay a cent for their tuition if they choose to enroll in this college and are eligible for. Depending on the admission requirements for each university, the student must be accepted to those 4-year partners in order to attend them through the Promise program. There is an income requirement for some of the partner universities, and that threshold currently is set at $50,000 or less. So if your family makes beneath that income threshold, the student would be eligible for the Promise program at that particular university. And there is no limit on the number of scholarships that can be, Promise scholarships that can be used at certain institutions, except for SMU, which only offers 5 scholarships for high school graduates. So it's a competitive application process that requires different steps along with the Promise process. When students graduate with their associate's degree, they can go straight into the 4-year partners. So again, those are the University of North Texas at Dallas, Midwestern State University, Texas A&M Commerce, Texas A&M Texarkana, and Southern Methodist University. Each and every single one of them guarantees tuition. The student must be admitted to take advantage of that offer. There is an income requirement for some of them, not all of them, and only SMU has a limit on the number of scholarships that they provide in this last dollar tuition, and that's at 10 for students with an associate's degree. If a student chooses to go into a community college, any of the 7 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝐶D colleges to earn their associate's degree, and they want to continue with their education into a 4-year partner university to earn a bachelor's degree, there are currently more options. There are the University of North Texas at Dallas, Midwestern State University, Austin College, and Prairie View A&M University. Again, each and every single one of them guarantees to cover the tuition for the student. There is a minimum GPA requirement out of 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝐶D that they need to obtain in order to transfer successfully to that partner. There is an income requirement limit on a few of them, not all of them, and only Austin College and Prairie View A&M University have a limit. 2 scholarships for Austin College for the class of 2020 and 15 for Prairie View A&M University. Now, again, important to keep in mind that even with the transfer scholarship, the only thing guaranteed through the Promise program is the cost of tuition. The Promise scholarship does not cover additional fees, cost of books, supplies, transportation, or housing. So very important to keep that in mind. So what are the benefits of the Promise program to students? Number 1 is that students are guaranteed to never have to pay a cent for their tuition if they participate and are eligible to receive that Promise scholarship at the university that they want to attend. Students who are Texas residents, and this is highly important for students who do not qualify for FAFSA, is that they must be able to prove 3 years of residency in the state of Texas. If they don't have those 3 years of residency in the state of Texas, they can qualify for a residency override depending on the institution, and that would mean that a parent or guardian can prove that they've been living and working in the state of Texas for at least a year prior to their high school graduation. All students can participate in the program. That includes students who are undocumented, as long as they meet that Texas residency requirement. Not only are students supported in the cost of tuition to attend college, but students also have access to a success coach who is there to support students via email, text, and phone call throughout their senior year and once they enroll in college, so that they may be able to persist through their college education. Under no circumstance is the student obligated to participate in the Promise program. So students could get to the 3rd step and say, you know what, I don't want to take advantage of this opportunity, and that is totally fine, that is okay. At the end of the day, the best opportunity is for the student to find the best fit college option for them. It may be the Promise, it may not be the Promise, but there are options available for every single student through the Promise. And lastly, the Rising Star Scholarship at 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝐶D is another opportunity for a student who wishes to enroll at community college to not just have their tuition covered through the Dallas County Promise, but also receive books and supplies at 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝐶D through the Rising Star program if they meet additional GPA income requirements for that scholarship at 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝐶D. Important to mention as well is the FAFSA and the TASFA, the financial aid applications, both require year-to-year prior tax information, which means that for the class of 2020, they used their 2018 tax returns to complete that information. It is super and critically important that parents file their taxes correctly and in the year, and especially for the year that they will use when their student is a senior and applying for financial aid. Without the tax information, it becomes even more difficult to complete that process, and it is a requirement for the Promise program to be eligible to receive the Last Dollar Scholarship, as well as other institutional aid that the student may qualify for at that college. So extremely important to get that tax information done correctly, done on time, and that the student has it ready available when they're filling out that application their senior year.